When we study U.S. history, we usually focus on achievements like independence, expansion, and innovation. Those moments are important, but they don't tell the whole story.
Not every decision made by the United States led to progress or improvement. In fact, some decisions created serious problems that lasted for decades or even centuries.
That's why today we're focusing on the other side of the story, both the positive, the negative, and the long-term consequences of these actions taken by the United States.
To do this, we're putting history on trial using a courtroom format. Each case will be judged based on impact, duration, and how many people were affected.
We'll hear arguments from both sides because context always matters in history. Even bad decisions usually have reasons behind them.
That's why we are ranking each court case 1 to 10 based on their historical significance and historical consequences. This is historical court.
Order. The court is now in session for case 10, the Iraq War. We will determine whether this decision had significant consequences on the long-term health of the United States.
The United States invaded Iraq in 2003 based on claims that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, which was never the case. This decision ultimately led to years of conflicts, instability in the Middle East, and damaged global trust in United States leadership.
But you have to consider that at the time, the United States was acting in a post-9/11 environment where national security was a top priority. Leaders believed they were preventing future threats and protecting both the country and its allies.
Although the intentions may have been rooted in security concerns, the long-term instability and loss of credibility cannot be ignored. For this reason, I have decided this case sits at number 10. We will now move on to case 9, the Bay of Pigs invasion. The court will evaluate the long-term impact of this case.
The failed invasion of Cuba was meant to overthrow Fidel Castro, but instead it embarrassed the United States on a global stage. It also strengthened Cuba's relationship with the Soviet Union, increasing Cold War tensions.
Your Honor, you must examine that during the Cold War, stopping the spread of communism was a major goal for U.S. leaders. The invasion was seen as a way to remove a communist government close to American borders.
Despite its intentions, the operation backfired and it is a humiliation for the United States. For this reason, it is ranked number 9. We will move on to our next case, number 8, prohibition. The policy aimed at changing American society and liquor laws.
The government banned alcohol nationwide, hoping to reduce crime and improve public morals. Instead, it led to organized crime, illegal alcohol sales, and widespread disregard for the law.
Objection! Supporters for prohibition believed alcohol was responsible for many social problems, including violence and poverty. Their goal was to create a healthier and more stable society.
While the intentions were reform-based, the results created unexpected problems for the United States, landing prohibition at number 8. We will now examine case 7, the war on drugs, the policy that led to widespread effects across the country.
The war on drugs led to mass incarceration and disproportionately affected minority communities. Its long-term impact can be seen in the criminal justice system today.
Supporters believed that this policy would solve serious social problems. At the time, drug use and crime were major concerns for the public. Leaders believed strong enforcement would make communities safer.
The verdict is, although it aimed to reduce crime, the lasting social consequences were significant, and for that reason, it is number 7. Case 6 is now in session. The escalation of the Vietnam War and the decision that led to domestic and international consequences.
The U.S. became heavily involved in a war that resulted in a massive loss of life and deep division at home. It also caused many Americans to lose trust in their government.
There's another side to this case that should be considered. Leaders feared the spread of communism and believed that intervention was necessary to contain it. This idea was known as the domino theory.
Despite those consequences, the long-term damage to the public in foreign policy has been known and is very well prevalent. That makes this decision ranked at number 6. We are moving on to case number 5, Japanese American internment camps during World War II, and the focus on violation of civil liberties.
100,000 Japanese Americans were forced into internment camps with no evidence of wrongdoing. This was a clear violation of constitutional rights and freedoms.
While the outcome was damaging, the original goal was different. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, the country was filled with fear and uncertainty. Leaders believed this action was necessary for national security.
Even in times of fear, basic civil liberties have to be respected. For this reason, it should be ranked number 5. Case number 4, Plessy v. Ferguson, is now in session. We will go over the domestic impacts and societal impacts of the Supreme Court case Plessy v. Ferguson.
This ruling established the idea of separate but equal, which legalized racial segregation. In reality, it led to widespread discrimination and inequality.
Although history judged its decision harshly, leaders had reason for making it. The court reflected the attitudes of the time when segregation was already common in many parts of the country. They believed they were maintaining social order.
The long-term impact on civil rights and social injustice is the reason why this case is now located at number 4. Court is now in session for case number 3, Dred Scott v. Sanford. This case came during a time of intense slavery discussion and civil discourse in the United States population.
The court ruled that African Americans were not citizens and therefore had no legal rights. This ultimately allowed slavery to expand into newer territories.
Although we recognize the harm today, many leaders were influenced by the political and social views of their time. The court believed it was settling the issue of slavery once and for all. They aimed to create a clear legal ruling and reduce conflict.
Instead of the intended purpose of the Supreme Court case, it actually managed to push our nation of America closer to a brink of civil war, and the intentions over slavery, in fact, increased due to this case. And for that reason, it is ranked number 3. Court is in session for case number 2, the Indian Removal Act, and the devastating effects of the act on the Native American population in the United States and its long-term lasting effects.
In this event, Native Americans were forced off their lands and relocated west, often under harsh and deadly conditions. This ultimately caused long-term cultural and societal damage.
Context matters, and the country faced different circumstances at the time. The government wanted land for expansion and believed relocation would reduce conflict between settlers and Native Americans. This reflected the priorities of westward expansion.
Order. The long-term effects and loss of life in the Native American populations and the injustice of the removal are all reasons why this is placed at number 2. Finally, we have case number 1. We are now in session 4. Slavery in the United States, and the most significant and impactful time period of United States history.
Slavery denied basic human rights to millions of people and shaped the nation's economy through exploitation. Its effects led directly to the Civil War and continue to influence society today.
While the long-term consequences of slavery were devastating, it is important to understand the historical context of the time. During the early years of the United States, slavery became deeply connected to the economy, especially in southern states that relied on crops like cotton and tobacco. Many leaders viewed it as necessary for economic growth and stability. While this does not justify slavery or its effects, it helps explain why it became so deeply rooted in the nation.
Order. Despite the context and historical need for slavery at the time, the long-term consequences are unmatched in scale and prevalence in United States history.
Looking back at these cases, it's clear that not every decision led to progress. Some choices have consequences that last far beyond their time.
These events didn't just affect people in the moment. They shaped laws, society, and the direction of the country for generations.
By understanding our mistakes in the past, we can better understand how to shape our future and how it connects to our present. Even though these are mistakes, we do have something to learn from them, and by learning from history in the past, we can prevent them in the future and have a more congruent, better, and brighter future.
Court is adjourned.